Hey everyone, Sam Ovens here, and in today's video I'm going to explain what I've been doing recently and why I haven't released a new YouTube video or any kind of content for quite a long time. I think it's been about 60 or 90 days since I have been consistently creating a video every Tuesday like I used to. And the reason for this is kind of the same reason why I have a hat on right now. And the reason why I'm wearing a hat is not because I think it is cool or I'm trying to look like a different type of person or anything like that. It's just that I'm trying to keep my hair under control because it's actually really long and it's really inefficient to just, have a shower and then have to deal with your hair when it's longer. So you just put a hat on and it looks after it. And the reason why I'm trying to grow my hair longer is because I just wanted to try it. Like, I've never had long hair before in my entire life, and I figured, may as well try long hair once, normal hair, and some short hair. I've never had a shaved head, and I've never had long hair. And I want to try both of those sometime in my lifetime, so I figured, why not do it now, right? That's really the reason. And how this relates to what I've been doing recently is, recently I've been doing a lot of thinking and really trying to see what the next steps I'm going to take along my path are. And why I haven't been releasing content or doing blog videos or things like that is because in order to think differently and evaluate like what you're doing and how it's working and how you're progressing towards your goal, you have to basically stop doing what you're doing. You have to break these existing patterns. And it's very difficult to do. A lot of people can't do this. And this is probably one of the most difficult and emotionally challenging things for any human, especially an entrepreneur, to do. Because these things are at total odds with each other. They're total opposites. And I drew this here. You've got chaos and order. And basically, order would be like routine, right? Which is just doing more of the same. And chaos would be like new and / random. Now these are the opposite of each other. Like here, you would be very efficient. And here you would be like wandering around and distracted. Right? So you kind of get my point. In order to really think differently and really like break your normal patterns of thinking and everything, you can't do that while you continue to be efficient and productive. And Jeff Bezos talks about this a lot in his Amazon 2018 letters to shareholders. He talks about why sometimes it's very important to be efficient and really just keep iterating on the same thing and make it more and more productive, more and more efficient, and just be totally obsessed and single-minded in making an existing thing more efficient. However, sometimes what's needed is a new paradigm. And sometimes the best way to be efficient and competitive and win is to break the existing efficient thing and think of a new, better way. And you can't do this while being efficient and productive. It's impossible. Because when you're in that zone of being really efficient and productive and everything is ordered and structured, you can't think outside of those lines or those boxes that you have defined for yourself. And with me, I was in a very, very focused and deliberate and intentional and structured routine. I had my routine really dialed in. I would do the same thing every day. I'd plan tomorrow today. I would wake up. I would just follow it I just follow my to-do list and execute it flawlessly, and I could get a lot done, and it was really efficient. However, that at a certain point, I was unable to squeeze more efficiency out of it. And I thought, well, am I just going to keep doing this for the rest of my life, or is there a better way? And that's when I started trying to think about new ways, but I couldn't think of new ways while I was still doing the same thing. So eventually the only way I could really start thinking about this stuff is when I broke my pre-existing routines and patterns. So that's kind of why I have a hat on and why my hair is longer, because when I like to think differently, I like to change everything. So I figured I'll grow my hair a bit longer. And then when it got longer, I had to wear a hat, right? That now I'm already thinking differently because my routines and patterns have changed. But not only that, I wasn't creating a blog video every week, so I didn't have to think about that. I wasn't sending an email broadcast every day. I wasn't doing social media posts. I wasn't doing any of that. And so that wasn't on my mind at all. And then I just took a total break from a lot of different things. And to tell you the extent of how many things I changed, I even started using an Android phone. And if you want to know how that went, these things are pretty cool. But the iPhone X is better. Seriously. I wanted to like this a lot more. And it's got some cool features. But just the interface and everything of this, it's just nowhere near as perfect as an iPhone X. But, that's besides the point. I was trying lots of different things, from hair, hat, even changing my phone. You think if you've been an iPhone user like I have for about 6 years, maybe longer. Shit, it's probably like 10 years, right? Imagine how ingrained that pattern is, right? Like, I'd never used an Android phone, and I was very ingrained in using an iPhone. But I forced myself to try an Android. And it was very clunky at first, but then I got used to it. And I adapted and evolved to that. Every time you change something that you do every day, it changes more than what you think. You're not just using a different phone, you're thinking differently. Plus, a lot of our users that visit our website and buy our products and things, they use Android phones. And if I'm going to be designing products and experiences and things for Android users, then it kind of makes sense that I understand how an Android works, right? And this is what I'm getting at. You want to try changing things, but you can change too many things too. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they struggle to find a balance between these two. The key is you've got to invite chaos in when things get stagnant. So you want to open the door to some chaos, which means switching up things, changing things, trying new radical approaches to things, and basically having like divergent thinking. And you want to invite the chaos in, and it's kind of crazy for a while because all of the stuff's going around, things are breaking, but that's good. You need this chaos to be able to find new configurations of things. And then when you spot a new configuration that you hadn't found before, that's actually better than the one you had in the past, then you can start to take that configuration and start to create a new order around it. So when you do that, then you come back to this side, and then you want to start putting routines in place, and then you want to make things more efficient. And when you're putting routines in place and making things efficient, you're not inviting chaos in. You're trying to weed it out, right? And then you want to continuously take that new configuration to its absolute nth degree and push it as far as it can go. And then when you get there, you're going to be making big progress, but then it's going to reach a peak. And then you're going to be making it more efficient, but you're not squeezing any more output out of the configuration. It's kind of reached its threshold or its maximum output. And at that point, guess what? It's time to go and play with some chaos again, right? And people who get taken out in business and people who always get their asses kicked, they're hard jammed on either chaos or on order, right? I've seen people get taken by this thing on both sides. Chaos people, they never have a routine, they never make things more efficient, and they're constantly changing things. They have shiny object syndrome, right? Or they're niche jumpers, or they're just neurotic and ADD. And while it's good for being creative and thinking of different things, you never get a configuration fully put in practice and taken to, you've never extracted the full potential value out of any one thing that you do, right? So these people get beaten by these people. But these people also get beaten by these people. And what happens with order is that, an entrepreneur, when they're getting started, they would have had some chaos, and then they would have found a configuration and ordered it and made it efficient, right? But then they get to a peak where they can no longer squeeze more efficiency out of it. And at that peak, somebody else might be able to find a new configuration, a new paradigm, right? And when they find that new paradigm, if they're able to put order into place, then they will beat the incumbent, right? Now, prime example of this, let me give you some real-world examples because we're being abstract. So, order would have been Walmart back in the day. So Walmart, was the biggest company on earth. It was the most profitable, most successful company on earth a while ago. And it was extremely efficient and ordered and structured, right? Now, they weren't trying radical new things. They were just trying to get more value out of their current configuration, and nobody could beat them at their current configuration. If anyone tried to come in and be more ordered than Walmart on their model, they would get dominated, right? And so these guys were winning. However, danger came from over here. Jeff Bezos was thinking, random, new, wandering and distracted and chaotic. And he was able to see how the internet would be a more efficient model than Walmart's brick and mortar model. And he was able to build that. It took him a while to put order in place, right? But once he did, he dominated Walmart. And now we have Amazon that is over here in the leader. So this is what I'm talking about. And there's actually a book on this called The Innovator's Dilemma. And it basically talks about how a successful company's greatest Achilles heel is legacy. So, success it brings with it always a seed of its own destruction. So, like IBM, when they were the biggest company in the world and the dominant force in the computer industry, they tried to codify everything down to the size of the carpet you could have in your office, your job title. You had to pull your socks up and wear garters. I'm not even joking about this, by the way. They even told you in a manual what type of watch you were allowed to wear based on your position in the hierarchy. Crazy stuff. But, they fell victim to this. This is textbook of this, what I'm talking about. They thought that what they were doing was so magical that they had to absolutely codify it in all of its intricacies and details so that it would stay the way it was, down to the garters you were wearing and the watch you're wearing and the size of your damn carpet, right? Now, they codified what they were doing. Absolutely. They made it very ordered and structured. However, danger came from over here, right? This is what always happens. And what it looks like is an S-curve. And I'll just see how this is where I'll get some room. Now, it looks like this. So if here we have results. Whoops, you actually can't see that. Yeah, so doesn't really look like an S, but it'll do. So let's say here we've got results, and here we've got time, right? Well, what happens with any new innovation, technology, business, product, anything, is when you get started, things are clunky, and you don't really know what you're doing, because it's random, you're trying new things, you're wandering, you're trying to go through uncharted territory without a map, right? It's going to be dangerous. And when you're inventing and trying new things, it's messy, it's full of failure, and it's full of inefficiency, right? It's all of these things, and it's never any other way. So you've got to play around in here and look for a new configuration, something that beats the incumbent configuration. And during this time, it takes quite a long time, by the way, and your results are basically nothing. Sometimes you're going down because you're spending money and you're spending time and resources looking for this new configuration, but you're not actually making any money. You don't even have anything to sell. So that's happening. And then you find the configuration, and when you do, it explodes. It goes exponential, and you take out the incumbent and you win. However, then it starts to taper off, and it starts to kind of go a bit flat. And here, what most companies do is they try to codify everything and codify it more and codify it more to try and bring it back to its growth, but they forget what caused this steep growth curve they had in the first instance, which was it didn't come from order, it came from chaos, right? And so if this company or person or whatever keeps trying to do what they've always done that has worked in the past, then it will start to fade and eventually they will die and cease to exist, right? So this is called the S curve because it looks like an S. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what the hell do you do about this if you're an entrepreneur? Like, this is a real problem. Well, you have to learn to jump S-curves. And to do that, let's draw... At this point here, the success point, right? So that's where you're successful. At that point, you want to start a new S, right? And usually that would be positioned up a bit more, but I have framed this video with some limitations. So you would jump to the new S. And when is the best time to start a new S curve? It's when you're at the peak of your growth. So, you know, a lot of people when things are working and things are successful, they're very confident and they start having parties and buying lots of stuff and celebrating and thinking they're awesome, which is fine. But then if you continue like that and you start thinking you're really good, then you'll get your ass kicked, right? Really, I learned this lesson the hard way. Back whenever I'd figure something out, I'd think I was awesome and start thinking of all these things I was going to buy. And then eventually it would stop working and I didn't have anything ready to go to replace it. And then I was scrambling around. And then I learned that lesson the hard way. And I learned that the time to start thinking about the new thing is the moment the existing thing is working. The moment it is working is the moment I am expecting and planning for its failure, right? So this is a good lesson to learn, because the best time to experience the down cycle of the new S-curve is at the peak of an existing S-curve. This way, the profits and the resources and the confidence and the momentum that you have at the top of this curve is used to feed and fuel this discovery stage of the new curve. And then, when you scale up here again on this new one, guess what? You're going to do it again. It never ends. That's the world. There's no such thing as done. The moment you think you're done, you really are done, because someone's going to come along and take it off you, right? And it never ends. You know, someone will do to Jeff Bezos and Amazon what he did to Walmart and Sam Walton. And so, why am I talking about S-curves and order and chaos and all of this stuff? Well, because this kind of ties back to what I've been doing lately. I've been thinking a lot about what my next S-curve is and what that's going to look like. And it's always an interesting thing to go through, because you have to break every single thing you've had in your mind. Because the old configuration I had, and I'll just walk you through this, was, you know, I'd plan tomorrow today, I would structure everything out exactly how I was going to spend all of my time, and it basically was creating a blog video once a week, sending an email once a day. We ran a lot of ads, like Facebook ads, YouTube ads. We had some, I was creating content for my courses, doing live stream Q&As with my customer community, right? It was all just the same, and we were very good at doing it, but we'd just do it again and again and again and again and again and again, and every time we made it a little bit better and a little bit more efficient. And it worked really well. I mean, we grew a big, amazing company with it. But it started to get to this point here where I thought it's time for a new paradigm. And so I started trying to think of what that would look like. And to do that, I had to break everything. I had to basically stop doing what I was doing and think about what I could do. And so that's why I haven't been making videos recently. And that's why I have a hat on, and that's why I have long hair, and that's why I tried an Android phone. And that's also why the last video I made before this video was really crazy, right? You probably saw it and you're probably like, what happened to Sam? Did he go insane? I actually saw a couple of comments where people thought I had gone insane, which is pretty funny. But really what I was trying to do is just try something real random. I thought, what is the last thing in the world? I basically tried to combine these two elements, right? I was like, I want to teach something real good, like actual good business advice. So I made sure the content was on point, and what I taught in there was like real concepts backed up with real examples. It was really good content, like lecture hall kind of business MBA type content, right? Really good information. However, I wanted to combine it with some absolute chaos. I threw in like some death metal because I thought, what is the most opposite thing from some business advice than a whiteboard? What is the polar opposite of that? And I was like, probably some death metal. So I just combined these two things together. And I think it's the first time there's ever been death metal in a business advice video. And I was just playing with these things, just trying to throw things together. And then I thought, well, also let's speed it up, because that'll change things. Let's change up the tempo. So I sped it right up. And usually my videos, I don't edit them at all. Like this video you're watching right now, I just pressed record and then just started talking. So there's no editing, there's no cuts. And I just sit in front of a whiteboard and it's pretty plain. There's no intros, cuts, or music. And that video, there was a lot of cuts, a lot of intro, and a lot of music. And it was very crazy and very different. Now, why I did that is I just wanted to try something new. And also, I was just trying to shake things up and just try something different. Now, for people who have always watched my videos, I can tell you that moving forward, like, I noticed some people in the comments, they said, I really liked Sam's old way of making videos better. Some people liked the new way of making videos better. But I can tell you with 100% confidence that all of my videos moving forward are just going to be plain and simple like this one. And the reason why is because that video was a nightmare to edit. Like, this is the whole reason why my videos are just start to finish, one take, no cuts, no music, very plain and simple. Because I've got a business to run and I've got things to do. I don't want to sit around editing and clicking on a video and edit and preparing it. That takes, I think I shot that last video that I made, and it's called How to Grow Your Business More with Less. And you can see it on my channel if you look at the latest video I had before this one. But it took me about 2 hours to film and then about 2 weeks to edit, right? So that's why I don't edit videos usually, because it takes up a ridiculous amount of time. And so moving forward, videos are just going to be like this, because these videos take me about 30 minutes to make, and then I push them live straight away, no editing at all. So that's why that video was crazy, and moving forward, the videos are just going to be like this one, all right? Now, another thing about what I've been doing recently is we got a new office. So our new office is in El Segundo in California, and it's pretty cool and it's pretty different. Like, again, I was trying to make things different and creative, and so there's lots of crazy stuff in this new office, like a zebra and a dolphin and a dinosaur, and there's even like going to be themed meeting rooms. Like one meeting room is just going to be called the jungle room. It's just going to be filled with like jungle trees, actual trees. So you'll be looking at someone across the meeting room table and you'll be like, we're just in a forest. And there's even going to be a little jungle noises in there. And then another meeting room is probably just going to be filled with sand and have beach chairs in it. And it's going to be called Beach Room. And the other room, I don't know what's going to be in it yet, but I was thinking it might be just a ball pit. And so this new office is going to be pretty crazy. It already is pretty crazy. and I'll definitely film a tour of it as soon as it's ready. And that's another reason why I haven't been creating this content, because one, I've been thinking differently, and two, I've had a lot of stuff on my plate. I had to do a lot of hiring and then quite a lot of management with my team, thinking of what's next, thinking of this new S-curve, and also just new projects, right? And it took me 12 months and 640 interviews, actual interviews with people, to find 3. So the 3 people that I've found through that process are really good. And it was worth it to do that much work to find those people. And I'd never done that before. That was very different. But there's something that I'm also building. Like, this is another project that I've got. And it's been taking up a huge amount of my time and energy. With hiring, managing that team, and basically, this thing is ideas and new creations are very delicate in their initial conditions, and they require a huge amount of resources. It's like pushing a stationary train, right? And once you get the train moving, it requires an extreme amount of energy. But once it's moving, then it gains momentum. But to get it moving, I always forget about and underestimate how much actual energy it takes. So in order to get that thing going, I had to give it everything I had to basically push it and get it moving. And I'm not going to talk at all about what that actually is. And I can tell you I've been spending a lot of my time building it. But I'm not going to talk about it at all, because I have a rule that you shouldn't talk about things until they're done. Because if you talk about the thing before it's done, then you basically get some kind of satisfaction from it, because you've told people about it, and it tricks your brain and it makes you think that you've done it, right? So you don't talk about it. Also, if you talk about it, then people are going to probably ask you, when's it going to be ready, and all of this stuff, and then you're going to have to come up with some number or date or something, and it's most probably going to be wrong, and then you're going to disappoint people. And also, really, you just shouldn't talk about stuff, because in the world there's talkers and doers, and doers don't talk much, and talkers don't do much, right? And when I'm building and when I'm really focused on building something, I try not to speak much at all. I try to just build, because nothing speaks better than the creation itself when it's done. So, yeah, I've been working on something, and I'll let you know when it's ready, and I'll let it tell you what it is. I've also been working on the office, been working on building a pretty awesome team. So a lot of stuff's been going on behind the scenes here. I just haven't been able to share much about it. But today I thought I'd give you an update and tell you why I made a crazy video, and why you haven't seen a video from me in ages, why I have a hat on, why I have some long hair, and also teach you some lessons at the same time. What else happened? I've got some notes here. Alright, here's a new thing that's quite interesting. So, focusing on team versus being in the spotlight, right? And some observations. So, here's an argument that I'm pretty sure no one in the world would be able to prove wrong. That in order to do anything great, you need a team, right? Like, one person by themselves is pretty insignificant and pretty, useless, to be honest. You don't have much time in a day, and you can't do much as a single individual, right? And you also can't be good at everything. It's impossible. So one person alone is very, very, very weak. And the best things in the world are done by groups and by teams, right? Now, with the way I used to run my company, consulting.com, I did a lot of the work myself, and that's why I had this extreme routine and pattern and efficiency and way of doing things. But I knew that in order to get where I wanted to go long term and achieve the goals I wanted to achieve long term, that it was impossible if it was just me doing it, and I really needed a team to be doing it. And so a lot of my time and energy over the past year or so has been spent finding an amazing team and, making sure this team works cohesively together. And I realized that was an extreme weak spot of mine. And so some weak spots that I found with me personally was hiring. And I think this is true for a lot of internet entrepreneurs, because a lot of internet entrepreneurs are basically introverted, and they go on the internet because it's easier for them than talking to people. And then they create this business around these things that aren't usually talking to people and being very social, typically by themselves. And so for me, I was able to achieve a lot of success with this, but my weakness was working with a team, hiring a team, leading a team, managing a team. That was definitely a weak spot. And I decided, I really have to learn a lot about this. So I started reading a lot of books on it, started finding some mentors on it, and basically becoming a student again. And so that's another piece of advice for you is, you should always figure out, what are your blind spots, what are your weak spots, because everybody has them. It doesn't matter if you're successful or not. You want to identify those things and work on those things. So I've been doing that, but through that process, there was something very interesting I found. And what I saw is that there is a conflict between being a social media influencer or content creator or guru or whatever other disturbing word people use to talk about these people, and being a good leader of a team, right? Now, what I basically found was that, can I draw here? Yep. You've got a guru person, and then you've got a leader person. On this one, I'll put team. Because really, gurus are good leaders of their following or their tribe or whatever the hell it is. But these people are typically the worst leaders of their teams. And it's quite interesting to see. But the people who are the best leaders of their teams often are not a guru or have a following at all. Do you remember watching Jeff Bezos's blog posts, or Steve Jobs, or Mark Zuckerberg's, or who else? Larry Page and Sergey Brin? They are quite behind the scenes. And most CEOs and leaders of amazing organizations, their focus is not on their following. It's on their team, and their team's focus is on their following, right? So it's triangulated. And so the best way I can describe this is it's basically these guru people, they are a solo performer. They're singing into a microphone, looking at the audience on a stage, right? And they're performing for the audience. However, the really good leaders who have awesome teams, who achieve massive things, they aren't solo performers talking to the audience. They are conductors. Their back is to the audience, and they are facing the orchestra or their team, right? And they're directing their team, and their team is facing the audience. And so really, the team is facing the audience. Their back, the leader's back is to the audience. They're facing towards the team. And this is really interesting, and it makes total sense, because it's hard to have split focus. Your mind is typically on your team and helping them and being a good leader to them, or your mind is on your following. And the people who have really big followings, you never really see their team, and whenever they're in the office with their team, they're typically recording videos and talking to their audience, not really their team, which is really interesting. So that's another reason why I, reined back my content and social media and all of that, because I was focusing on the team and trying to come up with some kind of healthy balance where you could do a little bit of this to still keep, your audience up to date, but mostly be focused on the team. And so that's an interesting insight that I saw. I can't really find any guru person who has a good team. And I can't really find any leader person who has a good team who is also like a guru person, right? It's always interesting when you find these dichotomies. And so moving forward, what's that going to mean? Am I quitting creating content forever? No, I'm still going to make like one simple video like this one, like a week. And I'm still going to, keep my audience and everything up to date on what's going on. But I'm not going to go to town with that. I'm not going to become like a Kim Kardashian or anything. I'm mostly going to be focused on building great products and building a great business and building a great team and doing those things. I have no interest in the fame side at all. And then what else has been going on? Oh yeah. Advertising is like sex. Only losers pay for it. That's an interesting quote that I read that I thought was quite funny, because that really makes me a pretty big loser, because I spend a lot of money on advertising. And so when I was questioning everything in my business and life, I thought, our company spends a disturbing amount of money on ads. And I was like, is there another way we could be spending that money or focusing that attention or that energy? And it made me think that are ads really student obsessed? One of our principles that we have, and I'll show you what these are so you can see. If you want to read those, you can just pause the video and you can have a look at them. But these are our principles for our company. And the first one, the most important one, is student obsessed. What's best for the student is what's best for everyone. And I was thinking, are ads student obsessed? Are there any students out there or people who want to learn things that are like, oh my God, thank God for that ad, it changed my life? Not really. I don't look at the comments on my ads, but sometimes when I do, it's lucky I don't look at those comments, because they're pretty disturbing. And so ads, I don't think, are really student obsessed. So it made me start thinking, well, what other ways could we get people's attention and get customers and run our business? And what's interesting is during this time that I stopped creating videos and sending emails and doing all of that, I was able to see what kind of impact that had on our results, right? Now, what's interesting is that you can't judge the performance of a particular thing through addition. You can only judge it through subtraction. And what I mean by that is, if you have something that's working and then you keep adding things to it and it works a bit better and it works a bit better, you don't really know which one of those things that you're doing is responsible for the results that you're getting. And our business and processes had become a lot like this with consulting.com. We were doing emails, social posts, blog videos, custom interviews, live stream Q&As, YouTube ads, Google AdWords, display ads, retargeting ads, Facebook ads, all sorts of stuff, right? All sorts of stuff was going on, refer a friend. And then when I stopped doing a lot of stuff, we were able to see what kind of impact that had. And what's interesting is that the weekly blog videos actually are responsible for a lot more customers and growth and profit and cash flow, and even it's the only thing that I noticed people start saying that they were missing, right? So a lot of people would write on different channels that we have saying, what happened to your weekly videos? I used to watch them all the time, and it was the only thing that people actually said they missed, which was quite interesting to see. And then I was like, well, I wonder if there's a correlation between people missing things and people buying things through things that they missed that they used to have, right? And I looked at all of the data retroactively, and it's true. Not only were these videos adding a lot of value to people, not only were they student obsessed because they're helping people even if they don't buy my stuff, which is something we want to do, but they were also very profitable and were a key contributor to our growth and sales, and people missed them. So they were a lot more important than I had thought, and I actually found that they're more important than ads. And so I'm not eliminating ads, right? I don't know how to do that yet. I'm still thinking about it. But I would love to get rid of ads. I don't think there's any advertiser in the world that thinks, like, I love spending a lot of money on ads. Like, really, I think everyone would prefer if their product was so good that their customers just told other people about it, right? And everyone would prefer if they didn't have to build webinars and funnels and all of this crap, and people just came and bought their stuff. That's what everyone would prefer, unless they're crazy. But I still don't know how to fully achieve that yet, but I'm working on it. So my focus, it kind of comes back to that saying, marketing or advertising is like sex, only losers pay for it. And I can say that because I spend a lot of money on advertising. So I'm not being mean to anyone other than myself and other people who are like me. But that is one thing I've been trying to achieve, is we're going to have more of a focus on content and adding value and student obsession, and less of a focus on ads, right? And so that's one thing I'm going to be doing moving forward. What else? Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing, right? So, quick recap is I had an Android phone and grew my hair long, had a hat, well, I'm wearing a hat, broke all the routines I had, started thinking completely different, made that crazy video with some death metal in it, and basically moved from being in this zone into this zone so that I could find a new configuration so that I could jump this S-curve so that I could be the person who kills my own business and replaces it with a more successful one, and instead of waiting around for somebody else to come and kill it, because that's basically what happens. That's the innovator's dilemma. If you stay on your existing S-curve, then somebody else will come along and take you out. So successful entrepreneurs and successful business owners, they learn to keep taking themselves out. They constantly reinvent themselves, and they constantly become their own competition. They constantly build things so good, so much better than their existing thing, that it crushes it, right? Now you have to be, it's better for you to be the destructive force that takes out your own business and makes it better than for somebody else to come and do that to you, right? And so that's what I've been doing. I've been thinking a lot about this, putting a lot of time and energy into it, and building that office, hiring the team, trying to become a better leader and recruiter and manager, and yeah. So in the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing a video like this every Tuesday. Now, if you want to get notified when one of these videos comes out, you can just click that subscribe button below. And if you liked this video, just click that like button and let me know what you thought in the comments section below. Now, I also want to ask a favor from you. And what I want your help with is, because content is going to become more of a focus for me and consulting.com and our team moving forward, I want to know what problems you have that you want solved. Like, what are the biggest, most nagging, most waking up in the middle of the night sweating about it problems that you have in your business or in your life? And I want you to tell me what those problems are in the comments section below. And then I'm honestly going to go and read them all myself, all of them. And I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to use your feedback to help shape this channel and the videos that we release, right? So you, the audience, gets to really dictate and decide what goes on this, right? And so I want your help. Write a comment below, give me some feedback on this, and tell me what problems you have or what kind of videos you want me to create. And I'll make sure that we deliver on that. So that's it for this video and update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one soon.